What's up everybody, it's Victon here with my first League Start build guide of 3.20, the Freezing Pulse and Ice Spear Totems Hierophant. It's been a while and I am excited to be excited about PoE again. We've had a couple dud leagues in a row, but after reviewing all the changes and the new content coming this league, I gotta say I'm pretty hyped. And as always, with the hype for a new league comes the decision of what build you're going to choose to start your league off with that you can make a strong character for cheap and push to the hardest content PoE has to throw at us. Most importantly, what is fun and feels good to play. If you've been around my channel for a while, you know that about 80% of my builds I play are minion based because I am a sucker for a good minion build. But times have changed and there are far fewer minion builds out there that I feel good about recommending to you guys. I will still be releasing a Summon Raging Spirit League starter, but to start, this totem build will actually be my League starter and what I'm going to be taking to uber pinnacle bosses. I've played Freezing Pulse and Ice Spear Totems before and it's always been a strong mapper and even a stronger bosser. It's actually one of the strongest bossers out there right now, reaching 134 million DPS in the final min-maxed version. As you can see in the footage, it absolutely shreds uber bosses, and of course makes every other boss in the game completely trivial. Now, I know what you're saying, and good news, you don't have to be a divine millionaire to get that damage. The League Start version of this build is going to cost about 20 to 50 chaos total, depending on the market. It's about 20 chaos normally, but maybe this video might make it a whopping 50. And that will take you all the way to tier 16 maps. I was doing tier 16 maps at level 75 with level 17 gems when I was doing my testing, and the maps felt just as easy as tier 1 maps. It's actually incredibly easy to start up and get mapping with. I've also taken the time to write up a full comprehensive leveling guide, and I am the absolute slowest leveler out there, but with this leveling guide that I made here, I was able to complete the campaign in 4.5 hours, which is my best time for any League Start build. In this guide, we'll be going over a leveling section that has gem links, colors for gems, I've got a nifty little custom leveling loot filter, and of course the trade links to take you all the way from your League Start version of the build up to the in-game version of your build. And it's also worth noting that the leveling portion of this video is actually viable for any totem build that you want, not just Freezing Pulse and Ice Spear. This is absolutely what I would recommend using to level with. Anyways, with all that being said, before we get going, if this guide or any of my other content helps you out in any way, please hit that like and subscribe button and leave a comment saying what builds y'all are wanting to play this league. And if you really enjoy my content and want to support my channel, consider taking a look at my Patreon, where I have a super helpful community Discord, and I actually personally do build reviews for people all the time there. I also stream on Twitch as much as possible and certainly the most at League Starts, so come on over there and say hi if you see me online. The link for all of that's going to be in the video's description. So without further ado, let's hop straight into the path of building. Okay, cool. So here we are, and first things first, I do have the leveling path fully laid out for you guys, about every 10 levels by clicking down here and choose these as you progress through the campaign and into maps. It's going to show you all your skill points and your ascendancy points as well. And if you click up here, you're going to find your skill gems for the final mapping setup. Click here, and this is all of your items. I actually have two setups here for your items. You're just going to click this, and it's going to give you the option for the in-game setup or the League Start setup. Same down here with the cluster jewels for the in-game and League Start setups. As you can tell, we have about 5 million DPS for about 50 chaos or so, which is absolutely not too shabby. And we've got about 25 million DPS for the 5 to 6 divine setup. Moving on to the note section here, and what you're most likely going to spend a lot of your time in the League Start situation, just like I will be, I have a full comprehensive leveling guide for you guys, all color-coded and pretty. It's going to give you guys exactly what you need for your links and your colors to be at the end of each act, and it's going to tell you what gems to take for your rewards, as well as what to buy from your vendors. I even have the copy and paste codes for what you're going to want to type into your vendors to look for certain colors and links, which has personally helped me speed up my runs quite a bit. Yeah, I'm going to be using this myself and I hope it helps you guys out too. Going back into the skill tree, I won't go too in depth here. Feel free to ask in the comments or in my Twitch chat if you have any questions. I'll absolutely answer every single question I see. I will still, however, go over the most important things. First thing to note is that we are leveling up with Spark Totems, which are incredibly solid leveling. Like I said, I was able to level up super fast with this setup, and it transitions very smoothly into your final build with only like a 4 gem swap, all of which are going to be leveling in your offhand. So very easy there. As far as defenses, we have 3 main layers of defense. One is Mind Over Matter, which is pretty solid with a mana pool of 2,500 or so. The second being a full screen freeze with Freezing Pulse. Mapping is super smooth because literally the whole screen is frozen with mobs, and with the totem playstyle, a bit like the good old skeleton mages, you can pop down your totems and run around in circles while dodging abilities and still doing big damages. And lastly is just that, big damage. This build does really good damage. You've got your Freezing Pulse to freeze everything while mapping, and your Ice Spear to absolutely embarrass bosses with. So the whole kill it before it kills you concept is definitely part of the build in some ways. You're going to notice your life is scary low at only about 2.5 to 3k, but after having played this build for probably a couple hundred hours, you really don't even notice how low your life is. With your Mind Over Matter, your freezing of everything and doing massive boss damage, yeah, it just kind of really works, and it's surprisingly safe to play. I even took one of these characters to level 98 a few leagues ago, which is pretty high for me. Anyways, for our Ascendancy, we are Hierophant. We're going to be grabbing those juicy totem notes. And then we're going to be grabbing the power and endurance charge notes here. And lastly, we're going to get that Mind Over Matter and Transfiguration of Mind, which is just more damage. Moving on to our skills, we do have Ice Spear, which you're going to be having for your boss setup, but you're going to be swapping that over while you're doing mapping. And again, only use that Ice Spear if you're doing bosses. You can easily use Freeze Pulse on all other content, and the rest of the gems actually stay the same with multi-totems, cold damage, GMP, crit damage, and your 6th link will be Hypothermia. We've got Flame Dash, Second Wind, and Faster Casting for our movement skill, Hatred in our Essence Worm ring, and Zealotry in our second Essence Worm, once you get that curse reduction elsewhere, which we're going to be talking about in the gear section. We're going to go with Summon Lightning Golem, Arcane Surge, Arcane Cloak, which you're going to be putting on your middle top button. At least this is my recommendation, and I'm going to bind that to my spacebar so that I can constantly have it pressed to cast it when I walk around. And they're also going to have increased duration on there. And then we're going to have Vortex, Unbound Ailments, Arcane Surge, and Bone Chill, which you're going to have on your left click to once again auto cast that. And lastly, we have Sniper's Mark, Frost Bomb, Spell Cascade, and Arcanist Brand. That's going to be a pretty simple setup to just cast that Arcanist Brand, and it's going to be throwing out a whole bunch of skills for you to just kind of reduce the amount of buttons that you push. Pretty nice there. Alright, now for our items, we have 2 setups like I said earlier. Let's go over the league start first. We have a Tyrian Shiver Staff, which is only a couple chaos. Pretty solid for the amount of chaos that you're paying for it, actually. Heat Shiver Helmet, which is again going to be 1 to 2 chaos and actually is a ton of damage. Soul Mantle, 3 to 4 chaos, which is the base of this build. We're going to go with some basic gloves with life and res, as well as a little bit of dex with those. Some basic boots with life, res, and move speed. An amulet with dex, a bit of damage to simulate our in-game amulet, a Kikazaru ring to get somewhere between 60 and 80% curse reduction depending on the catalyst you use on it, which is going to combo with our Soul Mantle. Now, if you don't know, Soul Mantle places curses on you after your totems die, which is very bad, so we need 100% reduced curse effectiveness on you, which is actually easier than it's ever been this league with the curse changes they made. Now, having 1 Kikuzaru ring and the Soul of Yugal Minor Pantheon, which you upgrade by capturing the Pagan Bishop of Agony from the Cursed Crypt map, as well as a single jewel with curse reduction on it, and there you go. You have 100% curse reduction and are good to go. Just remember, until you have that, you can of course just use 2 Kikuzaru rings, so this is what I'll be doing right away when I get my Soul Mantle, which are about 1 to 2 chaos each. And even a rare ring, which you can bench craft on 25% curse reduction on. So there's a whole bunch of different ways you can get 100% curse reduction now. It's super easy and does not require much investment at all. Once you have 100% curse reduction, you can drop that second ring and snag an Essence Worm for a couple chaos for a ton of hatred damage. And lastly, we get Darkness Enthroned, which is super cheap as well, with a couple basic jewels in it until we get our in-game belt for a whole bunch of damage, which we'll cover that shortly. For flasks, take a look at what I have here. It's nothing too crazy, but just make sure you get an internal mana flask. It does help a ton. For jewels, we have one like this. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a basic jewel with some curse reduction on it. Now this has gotten buffed this patch. These can actually go up to 30% now, so super, super good. We have a large cluster with just Prismatic Heart as the most important, and Disoriented Display if you can get it. A medium cluster with just Sleepless Sentries, a clear mine for lots of extra damage, another medium cluster with repeater. Here's an example of a damage tool with crit multi as the main stat. And lastly, a rain of splinters. This is massive for Ice Spear, like absolutely massive. Projectiles are the biggest damage increase for Ice Spear by far. Now, this jewel has changed a little bit. It is now going to come from corrupting the red jewels. You have to corrupt them and you get a chance at getting this jewel. So I think it's going to be relatively cheap, but we'll have to see. I still think it's going to be pretty cheap, and do make sure that you get the lowest, less damage multiplier that you can. I think you want to get as close to 30% as possible. If you get it closer to 40, that's actually bad. You want it close to 30. All right, cool. Now the in-game setup is this here. We're going to switch over to a wand and a shield combo with the Adziri's Reflection, which takes care of us needing curse reduction. We're going to grab a Pandemonious Amulet for a ton of damage, a second Essence Worm, which you're going to put Zealotry in, and Coward's Legacy, which is actually the most expensive item in the build for a couple Divine. Grab a Dying Sun for, again, massive Ice Spear damage with that extra projectiles, and you could even get a Blizzard Crown helmet if you really want with Ice Spear projectiles. That's going to be probably a few divines, but it's definitely going to get you a lot more DPS, certainly a few more million if you want to pick that up. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty straightforward and very cheap for the damage that you're getting for a league starter. And likewise, that is it for the path of building. So let's move on to the trade links and custom leveling loot filter. Okay, so going forward, I'll be doing all of my trade links through Better POE Trading. If you don't have it, it's an app extension best used in Chrome, or like I have here, Opera GX. It embeds folders for you to store your searching directly within the trade website. It's like an actual lifesaver, and I highly recommend everyone use it. To get the folder for these links, you'll want to just scroll all the way to the bottom here, and then you're going to see Import Folder. You're going to click that, and then you're going to go to this video's description and find the pastebin link. We're actually going to copy that and put it into your browser, and then we're going to go to that actual website. We're going to go to the raw paste data. We're going to copy all that, and then we're going to go back to the trade website. We're going to scroll down again. We're going to click that import folder and paste that in there, and then you're done. That's it. In this folder, I've listed every single item for this build, and I've actually arranged it in purchase order of importance as well. So the top is going to be the most important items that you should buy first. Just click on the link and it takes you right there. Easy peasy. And for the last little goodie I have for you guys is a custom leveling loot filter. I made specifically for this build, and I will be personally using it myself. It highlights all the links and colors in the items that you're going to want to pick off the ground while leveling. It shoots beams up in the sky indicating the color combo that you're going to need for your build. Pretty simple concept, but it saves a ton of time and makes leveling a lot smoother. So just go to this website down here. You're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and it is the Totems leveling one. And you're just going to hit follow, and then once you go to your game, it should show up. Super easy. And that's it, guys. That is the full league start guide, and should be everything you need to know to get rolling and have a very successful league. Like I said, this will be the build that I will be using for my league start, so if you're curious how it's going, head on over to my Twitch channel to see or ask any questions. In closing, I am very much looking forward to playing this build. Having played it before, I know how chill of a mapper it is with big freezes and just how amazing the boss damage is. I personally plan on doing boss killing services using this character and going for some of those new top tier boss only unique items. Anyways, that's it, guys. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see y'all in the new league.